Hey up everybody, my name's Joshua Morrison, director of Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about finding locations for your film, project, whatever it might be, music video, right? And how in particular, filming on the streets can be one of your best assets because the streets are free, anyone can film on the streets, and with the streets come a wide variety of locations. So you've got urban places like this, you've got more naturey kind of places in your local parks or whatever, you have more suburban places, more urban places, etc., right? And along with that, you get free extras as well. The main problem is that sometimes they will look, and quite often actually, they will look into the camera. But in general, using the streets is really beneficial because there's a few reasons, right? One, you don't have to pay for permits, right? In the UK, there's basically the law says that if you're a crew of 4 people or less, then you can do whatever you want without a permit with a tripod. And if you have more than 4 people, you're not allowed to use a tripod. Basically is how it works. And if you have a really big shoot, then obviously you are disturbing the peace. If you want to like block off roads and stuff, you're gonna have to get in touch with your local council or the government or whatever, and get that all blockaded off, and you're gonna have to pay a load of money. I don't really want to do that. I'd rather just film on the pavements and get it all for free. Because I don't think filming like 5 meters over that way is really going to do me much good. I don't think that's going to benefit this video, for instance, if I shut off all the roads, right? But maybe there's a reason you might want to do that. Maybe, I don't know, you want to do a car scene, like a little car chase, and you need a space to safely do that. Or whatever, I feel like with filming, it's very easy to get a bit nervous about, the fact that there's so many people just going back and forth. Look at all the people that are just walking straight past this shot. It almost feels a bit claustrophobic. But the thing is, and I have made a video about this already, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about what you're filming, right? The most they'll do is come up and ask what you're filming, but they don't really care. They're only asking because it's a little bit of a novelty, right? And then maybe when they go and meet the person they're off to meet, they'll go, oh, there was someone filming. And that'll be the end of the conversation. Maybe, oh, what are they filming? And if they're filmmakers themselves, maybe they'll start talking about, oh, what they were doing, what camera they were using, blah, blah, blah. But all of that doesn't really get in the way of your own social anxiety little thing in the brain where it's kind of like, oh, these people hate me or whatever. Like, they don't. That person is taking a picture right now, and it's totally fine. You're allowed to just go out and commodify the land around you into content. And if anything, if you're a filmmaker, if you're creative, why not get as many of these locations as you can that are in your city, that are in your vicinity, that are available to you, and use them to your advantage. Like this, for instance, we did a scene here for my friend John Henry Westhead's film, Steve the Stammer's Missing Painting. Just down there's a little carpet shop, right? And there's a scene where someone is just like walking past it on the phone, and there's like a stairwell that's on the other side of the road, and if you went there and you did a long zoom sort of lens, you had this really fun like long shot where it kind of panned back and forth from a almost bird's eye angle, well, just a higher angle. And you can use the fact that there's that stairwell there to your advantage. That was kind of fun. Maybe there's a place where there's a little like, walkway up top and you can film from underneath. Maybe there's like a glass bridge somewhere near you and you can film underneath it or on top of it and get a proper bird's eye view. Maybe there's a road with a bus stop that goes by it and you can get a shot of someone getting on a bus to take you to wherever you need to go. Maybe there's like car parking spaces all along where you can make use of if you can get someone with a car to park in one of those spaces, then you can arrange the scene around that as a prop, people getting in the car and out the car, or having I did a scene for my film Johnny Moz's Lessons in Confidence recently, which was all set around the car, and basically there were 2 people that were in the car and one person going up to meet the people in the car, and then he like reaches through the window and he sort of shakes their hands and stuff like that, and there's a little bit of blocking with it. And that was all done in a car park for a pub. And basically, if you want to park in this car park, you just need to type the license plate into a little iPad. As long as you're not like bringing a huge crew with like millions of people or dozens of people down just to film some bog standard little shite, you can kind of do what you want. As long as you're not getting in people's way, like I'm not in anyone's way right now. Someone might want to walk past this way, but I'm not in their way. People that want to walk down here, that's more than welcome to because they're getting in the shot. And there's just so much you can do with the locations that you have to hand. Do you have a really nice shopping precinct near you? I'm talking about an outdoors one, like a road, not like a shopping centre or a mall, right? If you have one of those, and you can make use of that, and you can set your stories in your local vicinity, because you know your town, your city better than anyone. You know where you live more than anyone else, right? Just had to make sure I was still recording because I've been hit with that recently. Yeah, so you know your little locations, you know your vicinity, you know your region, you know the things that are going on, you know your community, you know what it's kind of like. So if you want to set a story in these locations, you know what would happen here. You know what's realistic, you know what is true to life. So if you wanted to get that across, then you can. And if you wanted to do something a bit more abstract or a bit more, I don't know, Art Deco with it, you can do that. And you can use this to turn it into something a bit larger than life. Like right now it just looks like some boring grey brown buildings, but you could turn it into something weird. There's all sorts of colour correction things you could do. Turn that building blue, turn it into some weird, like David Lynchy kind of fucky horror thing. You could do that. You could take a nicer camera or a shittier camera, maybe do something handheld or something on a tripod or whatever. There's so much you can do with the streets. The streets are your asset, right? And they're free. You pay tax to sort all this out. So why don't you make some use out of it? Why don't you use this to the fullest while you have it? I mean, obviously the streets aren't going anywhere, so that's even better. Just keep using the streets and use the streets more to your advantage. You don't need to worry about setting everything in a pub or setting everything in a fucking house or whatever. Because you know what? Out here, it tends to look better, right? When I do my filmings, right, I much prefer filming out in the streets. There's a few reasons for that. One, I think that we work faster because there's a bit more pressure. We're outside and it's a bit colder and all that sort of stuff. We're not in our comfort zone compared to when you're in a house and you can kind of sit down on the settee and have a cup of tea and all that kind of stuff and get into small talk and that kind of thing, and it can kind of eat into the time that you have. Here, it's a lot easier to just be like go, 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 right? Because you're on the street, right, we've done this location, let's go down there, sort that location out. Oh, we're done there, let's go back down that way. Or let's go down there, let's go up that building, or whatever, you know, right? You can have a lot more, you can be a lot more efficient and a lot more fluid with your cinematography and your blocking and your directing style and managing of your set, right? It's a lot easier to do that when you're on the street compared to when you're in an enclosed environment that's all a bit more controlled. Out here, it's not controlled. And some people would see that as a disadvantage because they can't manipulate the people that are walking back and forth or the cars that come back and forth, right? But what makes it better is the fact that you're outside of your comfort zone, you're in a place that you don't quite, maybe you're not used to being out here doing this sort of thing, right? And that puts pressure on you. And people work good under pressure. They work better under pressure in general. Not everyone does. Everyone's unique and all that sort of stuff. But in general, I think that if you're under pressure, you're going to be having a better time of it in general, right? And yeah, that's kind of the whole video, is just telling you that you have this massive asset to your advantage and you should make use of it. Go out into the streets and do some filming. Find the posh areas and the poor areas and film them both. Film down like tower blocks and film like down alleyways and film on high streets and film down suburban roads. Film everywhere that you have to hand, because there's so many interesting things knocking about that you might walk past and go, oh, that looks interesting, right? Why not capture it in a film? Even if it's not the plot point, you could set a scene there and it's just neat that it's there in the background. Right? Just do something with the locations that you have to hand, rather than trying to write to something that you might not have to hand, or like, you know, write a scene in a butcher's and you don't have access to a butcher's or whatever. Don't do that. Just make use of the things that you have to hand. And yeah, that's basically the video. Leave your comments below about what you think on that matter. Whether you think, what do you have to hand in terms of a cool location that you want to use? And what's preventing you from using it? Is it a mental thing from inside, or is it an external thing, like the police are always patrolling it or whatever? I don't know. Something like that. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this, everybody. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Take care, and bye-bye. How long was that?